Hello again, everyone, and welcome to another edition of This Week in the World of Football. This is episode number 344 for May 14th, 2024. I'm your host, Randy Snow. On this week's show, the Liga de Futbol Americano Profesional, say that fast 3 times, has their playoff teams all set down in Mexico. Detroit Lions quarterback Jared Goff gets paid, and 4 teams have now folded in the new version of the Arena Football League. But I'm not here all by myself. Across the table for me, as always, is my son Adam.
What a week. And I'm not just talking about all the football news. I mean, if you haven't heard, obviously our podcast last week was delayed because of
Right.
a couple of tornadoes that kind of went through the
Yeah.
area.
Yeah, right by your house.
Well, yeah, right by my place. Yep.
And-
the road is still pretty messed up. There's a
Yeah.
lot of debris they're cleaning up still. It's
Right.
been, it doesn't feel like it's been a week.
No.
It feels like it happened so long ago now, but it was literally, we got done doing this show.
Right, last week
Because
today.
I go back to my place, I get everything uploaded, I work on the graphic and get it all up. But by the time I sat down to do all that, I'm getting the alert saying there's a tornado, you're under a tornado warning. And then it was okay. I turned on the news on my phone. I was just watching the local news, and they said if you are in this area by this street, which I was by that street, they're like, you might want to start seeking shelter. And that's when I kind of, I have to stop what I'm doing. And I went outside. It didn't look that bad yet, but then the wind started picking up and the sirens started going off. And I found myself sitting on the floor of my bathroom in the dark and just kind of waiting for things to kind of blow over. I felt my ears pop sitting there. So that was kind of creepy. But then I had my blinds open, so a bunch of light came through underneath my bathroom door. So I was like, oh, it must be over. I went outside and everything was trash. I didn't hear anything crash. That's the weird thing. I didn't hear anything. Usually people say you hear, you know, like it sounds like a train.
Like a train, yep.
And I didn't hear any of that. But I got to meet a lot of my neighbors because we're all out there
surveying the damage.
Surveying the damage. I helped a lady, one of my neighbors and I helped this lady, took her to my apartment because supposedly a second tornado was going to come through, or a second storm was about to walk through. Yeah, go through. And there were some firemen who were saying, hey, everybody get back away from the power lines, because we're all kind of like standing around by the road. And then so I brought this older lady into my apartment. Her car got hit by a telephone pole. So her back window was blown out. And she was like, well, I can't wait. She was going to wait in her car. And we're like, no, you're not. We're going to bring you inside. So her and my neighbor sat in my apartment. We waited for the second one to blow over, which didn't seem like much. So when it got sunny again, we went out. She got in her car. She was able to go. Hopefully she got home all right. Really nice lady. But man, it was just, what a hectic day. I couldn't get out of the apartment complex till the next day. Yeah. Couldn't go to work because of the road was blocked. Yeah. I didn't have power for 2 days. That's also why the shows didn't get up, in time. Like every time I seemed to go back to my place, I had power, then I lost it again. Like they were working on stuff all week. It's been a nightmare.
Yeah. Well, we didn't lose power here at our house. We're kind of on the east side of town. You're on the kind of the middle part of town, center of town.
Well,
south center.
You just missed it because
I know, but we didn't know that at the time.
To the south of you, was a trailer park that got hit, and your yard, your property, the 10 acres of debris.
Right. We had a lot of debris from the trailer park, a lot of skirting, from trailers and whatnot. And we didn't think it was that bad. We didn't go hide in the basement or anything, but it did get dark and windy. But it only lasted a few minutes. And then your mom says, hey, we got some debris in the front yard. And I thought, oh, boy, we lost some shingles or we lost some siding. I go out and I start picking it all up. And I'm like, this isn't from our house. This isn't our siding. We sustained no damage, but we had damage, I think, from the trailer park that was in our yard. And like you said, we were out there picking it up. And then the second wave or the second tornado came through. And so, we went back in the house and waited that one out. And then it turned dark, so we didn't do anything till the next morning. But yeah, when they showed it on the news, the path of that one, it was like just on the other side of the road over there, and then, to the south of us.
My sister, and obviously Kyle, other World of Football employee, there. So the line literally went from my place. It's a straight line. Like if you drew a straight line from where we live, like all our places kind of are in line. Yeah. Where they live in their neighborhood, which is also south of you, which is just south of that trailer park. Their neighborhood got missed, and then it hit the trailer park. So somehow it like hit my place, hit a couple places along the route, skipped Eden and Kyle's neighborhood, and then hit the trailer park, and then
Right.
must have, I don't know if it dissipated or just missed you guys because you were
Right.
literally right next to that.
Yeah.
So it's just absolutely crazy. Because yeah, you go on one street like where my girlfriend lives, like a few miles north of me, nothing. Looks like nothing ever happened.
Right.
You go to my end, absolute obliteration. We lost a Pizza Hut, we lost a Chinese place, a taco place. It's just, ugh.
Yeah, everything from our house to the east is fine. But when I start going west towards your place, that's where all the devastation is. Trees, and they've been doing a good job of clearing the roads and cutting up trees and whatnot. But oh man, what a mess. So I guess it's been confirmed now that there were actually four tornadoes
Jeez.
in this area. There was Dowagiac, Centerville, Kalamazoo, and one other place.
Portage, technically.
Well, yeah, Portage. But there were two of them were EF2s and two of them were EF1s. And an EF2, the top speed, wind speed is 135 miles an hour. It was almost a Category 3 because that's the top end of that scale. So yeah, this has been really devastating for a lot of the area here.
Yeah, it's
But
been rough. And then I go to the movie theater the other night, and they played a trailer for the new Twisters movie. And
yeah,
there's so many people in that theater who were just like, too soon, too soon. I was having a little bit of PTSD. It was not fun, but luckily, as far as I'm aware, because the big story was the FedEx facility
Right.
that got hit. I'm
Yep.
sure a lot of people, if
Got
you watch
destroyed
national
here.
news, that's in town here. But nobody, I don't think anybody got killed.
No, nobody got killed.
No major
A
injuries.
handful of minor injuries reported at
minor
local
injuries.
hospitals. But what's interesting is the next morning or two, we're watching the local news from Channel 3 here in town, and they had a local reporter in front of that Pizza Hut on Center Street that got destroyed.
Yep.
And when they switched from the local news to the national news, it was the same setup. Right where our local guy had been standing 2 minutes ago. Now that it's national news, they got a different reporter, but she's standing in the exact same spot where he was just recording. So they must have used the Channel 3 news crew for that. And then later on that day, we were watching CNN, and they had a reporter in that same spot in front of that Pizza Hut on Center Street. So yeah, it's just been crazy around here. Thank God.
Something we've never experienced. I'm sure that's something that I'm sure other parts of the country they've seen that exact thing where it's like, oh, yep, 4 news crews at the same spot.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah. But we had some straight line winds here many years ago.
Oh, yeah.
But technically it was not a tornado.
Yeah.
But that knocked down a bunch of trees.
That was always a conspiracy theory because like I was little in school growing up. And that was a big conspiracy theory that it was actually a tornado, but nobody wanted to say it was a tornado.
Yeah.
But just absolutely crazy. Like it's weird seeing like the stop signs by my apartment complex just totally twisted around. It was it's something else.
All the traffic lights in your area were out.
Yeah, I think they just put in brand new poles. So in less than a week, they put in new traffic poles and all that. But yeah, it was a mess around here for a while. I had to keep taking the long way to get to my apartment, and even then, it was like blocked off, and like they had crews continuously working over. So I mean, many thanks to the, consumers crews and all the other responders that got out there after the aftermath of all that. I mean, as frustrating and irritating as it was to try to just like, I'm just trying to go home. I'm just trying to get back to normal, even though this thing just happened.
Yeah.
There are these other people out there that have, they had their very important jobs to do.
Yeah, their homes are gone.
Yeah, homes are gone.
Or,
it's
severely damaged.
Yeah.
And we're very fortunate.
Very fortunate. Yep. And we're sorry that we had to spend the first 8-9 minutes of this show talking about a tornado.
Tornado talk. That segment is now over with, and we're going to move
talk.
on from here and get into
hopefully the one and only tornado talk ever on the World of Football
Tornado talk again. Yeah. We come to you each week from the fabulous World of Football Man Cave, located right here in the center of the football world, Kalamazoo, Michigan. We're here to promote the game of football in all its many forms, past, present, and future. Our goal is to educate, inform, and entertain our listeners with the glorious buffet that is the world of football, all this while keeping a close eye on the rich history of the game. Thanks for checking out our podcast. We'd love to get your feedback on one of our many platforms: Apple Podcasts, SoundCloud, TuneIn, Spotify, iHeartRadio, and Amazon Music. So you can simply ask your Alexa device to play the World of Football podcast. We also have timestamps down in the descriptions of both the podcast and many of our YouTube videos, so you can go right to the topics you really want to listen to. You can also find our podcast in its full audio form on our YouTube channel. Just search for the World of Football Kalamazoo, or use the handle at the World of Football in the YouTube search bar. You will find many other selected videos on our YouTube channel, like Arena Football Weekly that Adam's been doing. He had a second episode last week. and you're going to do a third one in the next day or so.
Yeah, maybe tonight. I mean, there's been so much news, and we're going to talk about arena football obviously coming up, so I won't talk too much right now. But I mean, I've been digging doing the show for our channel. It's been very nice. We've now got to 870 subscribers on the channel, so big thank you to everybody who's checked it out. And it's been a lot of good feedback. I'm glad it hasn't been people, just like
a lot of people care about the arena football.
They do.
Some people are just jumping on it like, oh, yeah, you were destined to fail, blah blah blah. Other people are like, man, I really wanted this thing to succeed, and
we're in that camp. We wanted it to succeed. It sucks to see it, and I'm hating making videos having to talk about a lot of the negative stuff because I was hoping to do a weekly show where it'd be let's talk about some great players,
let's have some
great
fun
stats.
Talking about the Arena Football League.
Yeah, and I mean, I just didn't want to be one of those channels that's been just capitalizing on that. Right. I really just wanted to genuinely talk arena football. Yeah. But I mean, we appreciate all the people who've been checking out our stuff and commenting. It means a lot to us. So.
And you've also got another episode of Just Lying Around coming up later on this week after the schedule comes out.
Yep, that'll be one of our news things we talk about here in a second, as well as the Jared Goff contract. So Just Lying Around, Kyle and I will put that together. We're talking about maybe recording it tomorrow night, maybe right after the schedule release, depending on how much, because everything's starting to leak. Well, I won't say leak, but the NFL's been putting out a couple games here and there.
Yeah, they do that every year. And like maybe the foreign games, the Germany and whatever.
But then, the teams will come out with their fun schedule videos, so that'll be something to look forward to. So we'll probably have to rank our favorite schedule release videos next week. But Kyle and I, we'll see. We'll get something up either Thursday afternoon or Wednesday night. We'll see.
Okay. All right. Well, with all that being said, let's begin today's tour around the world of football. And we start this week in the UFL.
That's right. What a weekend for the UFL. We got some playoff spots that have been locked up. We've had one of the best games in the UFL. And we're going to start with a team getting their first win as the Arlington Renegades defeat the Memphis Showboats 47-23. How about that? Yeah. The Renegades, behind quarterback Luis Perez, they finally got it put together. Yep.
Last year's XFL champions.
Last year's champs. They hadn't won a game in all this year, so they finally got the win. So there will be no winless teams in the UFL,
good for them.
Which is good. But, unfortunately, I think the Showboats and the Renegades, the Showboats for sure, but the Renegades will be seeing the outside of the playoffs this upcoming postseason.
Yep, great zone.
Speaking of postseason, though, two of the best teams in both conferences, the Birmingham Stallions, who went into this game 6-0 against the 5-1 St. Louis Battlehawks in the XFL conference, went head-to-head in Birmingham, and what a game they put on.
It was a good game.
I caught bits and pieces of this throughout the afternoon. We were kind of doing stuff.
I had it on in the background. I was kind of paying attention.
I tried to, but it was, we had some stuff going on. But the St. Louis Battlehawks fell to the Birmingham Stallions 30-26, keeping the Stallions undefeated at 7-0. Battlehawks kicker Andre Smits, he kicked a 61-yard field goal at the end of the first half to make it 4 60-yard field goals in the UFL season this year. The other three, all done by Jake Bates over there in the Michigan Panthers, and we'll probably talk about him again in a little bit. But the Stallions are now on a 14-game winning streak dating back to last season in the UFL.
Man, they are just an unstoppable team.
They are a great team.
Last 2 years, championship, looks like they're heading for another one.
It looks like they are again, but I will say this. They won narrowly over St. Louis, so a 6-point win.
Yep.
They narrowly beat the Michigan Panthers. They could have had 2 losses there, but they are just that good to where they were able to at least keep them at bay. That makes me hope that, and we'll talk about their playoff opponent here, because the Stallions are the first team to clinch a playoff spot. We talked about that last week. They have an opponent, and so I think that'll be a good game. And the Battlehawks, even though they lost, I'm sure we'll see them in the XFL playoffs.
Oh, yeah.
They might right now be the XFL front runner to get to the championship game. So if this was indeed a championship preview, this is a game that could still go either way.
Oh, yeah.
And especially now, if it is St. Louis, that game is in St. Louis, and you telling me that home crowd?
Oh yeah,
that could be a tie turn. It'll be a tie turner, I think, especially if the Battlehawks make it. All right, moving on. On Sunday, there were a couple of games. The Michigan Panthers defeated the DC Defenders 22-9. The Panthers, with that victory and a little help from the next game, were able to clinch a playoff spot.
Yep.
The Panthers, I watched pretty much this whole game. Former Michigan State quarterback Brian Lewerke got the start for yet another injured Michigan Panthers quarterback. So the Panthers, and then they had another quarterback whose name escapes me at the moment, but they played 2 quarterbacks during the game. Both of them looked good. Lewerke started off a little rough, but what a game. The Panthers' opening drive was a 95-yard touchdown drive where they just kept handing the ball off. The defenders could not defend the run. It was pretty rough going there for a while. And Jordan Ta'amu took a couple of big sacks. Speaks, the linebacker for the Panthers, is something else. I hope he goes to the Lions as well. On top of Jake Bates, who nailed all his field goals outdoors on Audi Field. It was the first outdoor grass he kicked on. He kicked outdoors, but he was very unsuccessful outdoors. But on grass, he nailed all of his field goals. He even got lucky. He missed one, but then there was a penalty, so he got to redo it.
Right.
So good for him, and good for the Michigan Panthers as they have now locked up that matchup against the Birmingham Stallions in the USFL Conference. So with 3 weeks left to play, got 2 teams that are just going to have to coast to the end of the season now.
Right, yeah. So basically, the USFL Conference Championship game is already set.
Yep, Panthers and Stallion. That should be interesting.
Yeah.
And then your final game, which helped decide the Panthers getting in, the Brahmas of San Antonio defeating the Houston Roughnecks. Because if Houston would have won, it would have made things a little interesting. But because the Roughnecks lost, that gave the Panthers the berth. So the Brahmas beat the Roughnecks 15-12. There was a 51-yard field goal by kicker Ryan Santoso as time expired to give the Brahmas the win.
Yep.
And there's great footage of the Michigan Panthers players watching that on the plane.
Yeah. Yep.
So it's a lot of fun. All right, so UFL standings in your XFL conference, the St. Louis Battlehawks and San Antonio Brahmas both sit at 5-2 records. The DC Defenders sit at 3-4, and the Arlington Renegades at 1-6. And I believe that would mathematically eliminate them. If there's only 3 games left, there's no way the Brahmas or the Battlehawks could, get surpassed by the Renegades. So I would say the Renegades have been eliminated. The Defenders still got a shot with 3 weeks left. In your USFL conference, obviously we just talked about it. The undefeated 7-0 Birmingham Stallions have clinched the playoff spot, as have the Michigan Panthers at 5-2 to set up that conference championship game. And then the Memphis Showboats and Houston Roughnecks both sit at the bottom of the conference with 1-6 records. Now we will throw it over to Randy, who's going to talk about Arena Football Week 3.
Yeah, they started out with 16 teams, and now they're down to 12. There were a few games that were played. The first one was Saturday night. The Billings Outlaws were ready to host the Rapid City Marshals, but the Marshals players...
Other way around, the Marshals were hosting the game.
They were?
Yep, it was in Rapid City.
Oh,
yep.
Okay. I had that backwards.
Yep.
Anyway, they refused to come out of their locker room because they had not been paid, and they wanted to make a statement. And the league made a statement by awarding Billings a 2-0 forfeit win in that game. So I don't know if we're going to see anything from Rapid City again. They could be another team that folds in the week to come.
It's an ever-changing situation.
Yep. So that was, a game was not played, but a win was secured by the Billings, who now improves to 3-0 on the season. On Sunday, it was the West Texas Desert Hawks improving to 3-0 with a 34-21 win over the Washington Wolfpack. They dropped to 0-3. And didn't you have a story about
I did. Did you watch any of this game? This was on that Vire.tv. I actually got to catch a little bit of this. So a couple of stories out of this game. So first off, the Desert Hawks, who made the trip, they settled their lawsuit with the National Arena League. Yep. So that was some positive news for the Arena League this week. So the Desert Hawks have been granted the ability to play the rest of the season. So finally, some good news.
I think what I read is that they paid an undisclosed amount. They didn't say what it was, but they had to buy out of their contract with the NAL. So
but
that's over with now.
Something that should have been taken care of at the beginning of this process. We could talk about that issue another day. And then the other story from this is the Washington Wolfpack earlier in the week had signed kicker Melissa Strother. She became the first female to score a point in the AFL's history in the first quarter of that game as she kicked an extra point. She was 3 for 3 on the day with her extra point. So pretty cool story there. I was watching the game and I think I caught her third kick. So I was very curious to see if she'd be out there. And my girlfriend made note because she kind of caught me watching. She goes, dang, that girl has got some thick thighs. I was like, well, yeah, if she's a kicker, she probably should.
Well, that and the pads, I'm sure.
The pads, yeah. But so I just thought that was a cool story. I mean,
Yeah.
I wouldn't say it was a gimmick. She nailed 3 field goals. So I was waiting to see her make a tackle or something to but I'm wondering if because there was not really a whole lot of information on her. I probably could have done a little more research, but I wonder if she was in one of those women's professional leagues.
WFA,
maybe. I don't know.
Kicking for them.
But still a very cool story. And to have a historic arena football first. This is a history lesson you can do someday. Who was the first female to ever score a point, or the only female to score a point in the arena league?
I don't know if you remember this, but many years ago there was a girl that tried out for the Grand Rapids Rampage.
I think I remember that.
And I had seen her play for the Southwest Michigan Jaguars.
Oh, yep. I vaguely remember that. Yeah.
Yep. And she was awesome. She was a great running back. Man, she was tough, and she didn't take crap from anybody. And you know, she was lifting weights with the guys, and she did herself proud during that workout.
Now, unfortunately, did she have Brian Gowan she was going up against?
She wasn't a kicker. I think.
I thought you said she was a kicker.
No, she was a running back. In the women's league, I don't know what they would have tried her out at, but it was not as a kicker. But yeah, she represented herself very well during those tryouts. I was there for that.
You know, to be honest with you, I think if there was ever a sport that could have women integrated with the men, it might be like an indoor or an arena football. Yeah. Whether it be kickers, you could probably even get some specialists out there. Like, I don't know how well that would work. I'm sure people would roll their eyes at that, but I mean, there's a few of those ladies out there that can ball.
Yep.
I mean, you get a couple of those ladies, like you get a lady quarterback out there that could ball against some of these dudes. Like, that would be pretty awesome.
Yep.
I'd be all for that. All right, you can continue with your scores.
Oh. Okay, let's see. On Sunday, the Salina Liberty improved to 2-0 with a 50-30 win over the Nashville Cats.
That was a bit of a shocker because I'd been kind of considering the Cats one of the top teams. Now I got to rethink that. There's a couple of teams that shocked me this weekend.
I think they're 1-2 now.
I think they are. Yes.
They won their first game against the Myth, and they lost to Albany, and they've lost to Salina.
So they are 1-2.
Okay.
We'll do standings here in a couple weeks.
Yeah. Well, it depends on how many teams are there.
Yeah.
That's why I've avoided standings. You know, give them half a season before we.
Yeah, well, that's why I said we got a couple weeks.
See who's still standing at the time. Little pun there.
Uh-huh.
Let's see. Monday night, it was the Wichita Regulators over the Southwest Kansas Storm in a real close game, 44-42.
This was the other one that surprised me. Nothing against the Regulators, but I kind of was writing the Regulators off as kind of a, well, you know, they're still figuring themselves out. They're a new team. Or newer team. I don't know. Southwest Kansas seemed a little more established and had some dudes. But kudos to the Regulators. I'm glad we could finally talk about, like, hey, wow, what a nice, pleasant surprise win. Unfortunately, I don't know if that was streaming anywhere. I didn't get to catch it if it was streaming. It's been so spotty trying to just watch an arena game.
Yeah.
So other than that.
Yeah. There was another game that was supposed to be on Monday night, the Minnesota Myth at the Albany Firebirds, but that game got canceled. I think it was the same day.
No, it was canceled Saturday.
Okay.
Friday or Saturday.
But yeah, in a statement that the Firebirds put out, they just said that Minnesota was unable to travel to the game, and that's all they said about it. So, and then all hell broke loose for the Myth in the days after that. But on by this past week, it was the Louisiana Voodoo, the Oregon Black Bears, and the Orlando Predators. 4 teams have now officially folded: the Philadelphia Soul, Iowa Rampage, Georgia Force, and Minnesota Myth. Speaking of Georgia, they set up a GoFundMe page to help the Georgia players get home.
What a sad state of affairs. I mean, we could probably drag on like we've done in weeks past about everything that's been happening with the league, you know. But I think it was the quarterback for the Force put this together because it was mainly for a lot of the guys who weren't from the area.
The Georgia
which
area.
I think is a nice thing. And it was only like a $2,000 goal, so they were just trying to get like $300 for one guy. I think if I looked at the GoFundMe, I think it kind of broke it down, like what they were going to give to each guy, and so I thought that was really neat. And I think they hit their goal. I'm not sure; I haven't looked it up, but the fact that they even got to that point is just disappointing. And obviously, you know, with the Myth folding officially today, I think, because Diane Hutton put out her press release. We were reading that and talking about that before we turned on our mics. But what a sad state of affairs. She's, you know, I'm going to paraphrase a little bit. I could read the thing if you want, but essentially she's saying they couldn't get the funding. Apparently they were trying to find more sponsors 2 days before they traveled to Albany and they couldn't do it, so they didn't travel. Now she's blaming that and the negative
comments
from fans and something about other teams colluding against them, and it's just a mess. Both Huttons. I don't want to put their character into question because we don't know everything that's going on behind the scenes. We do not.
Right.
But
because nobody's saying anything.
Nobody's saying anything. This is the most comments we've gotten out of either Hutton. The commissioner supposedly has been outed. We don't know that for a fact yet. It's just been reported that Lee Hutton is out and Jeff Fisher is now going to be the interim league commissioner per Arena Insider.
Until I see something
true,
official.
I also saw somebody say it's a source close to Fisher says it's not a done deal yet, but more likely than not, we'll see. So again, no official word, but it's trending in that direction, it sounds like. And just, I don't know what you expect. Like, how can you blame it on bad press when it's your fault from the beginning that this has even got to this point?
Right.
I don't know all the legality behind the scenes, with the paying the players. We've seen the CIF contract thing that said the league would cover 75% of the player salaries for some of those teams. And if that's not happening, there's something happening that we obviously don't know about. And I get it. There's a lot of fans that are mad. We are upset about it too, but I think there's a lot of information we don't have that we just can't be throwing around complete blame.
You don't want to speculate without knowing something or hearing something official. With lots of rumors.
There's a lot of rumors.
Which ones to believe?
Those forums, the Arena Football forum I follow on Facebook, that's pretty up to date. It's a big echo chamber of just people just throwing everything out there. Right. And then and this is nothing against like an Arena Insider or even, we trust Arena Fan usually. They're pretty reliable with their information, but an Arena Insider is fairly new. I guess they've been around for 10 years, but this iteration is fairly new. They've done some pretty good interviews with a few key people lately that has gotten some traction, but I'm not saying their sources are bogus. I'm just saying, they're not a completely reliable source yet. They could be. They're starting to get some, I'd say, some wins in the reporting column. Like, oh, yep, that turned out to be true. That turned out to be true. And I think the more that turns out to be true, the more legit we can consider Arena Insider. Again, nothing against them. They're just out there trying to, report and keep everybody informed as best they can.
Sometimes everybody wants to be the first to break a certain story. And so they jump the gun and don't have all their facts.
Yeah. But the other thing we didn't talk about
come out to be true.
Yep. The other thing we didn't talk about with the myth was Coach Ricky Foggy and their special teams coordinator.
Both
resigning before they would have gone to Albany, which obviously didn't happen.
So they knew something was up.
They knew something was up, or maybe that was just they had seen enough and didn't want to be a part of it.
Yeah.
It's just, it's been a mess, and there's been no clarity. It's frustrating being an Arena fan right now.
Yeah. Okay, I think that's all the stories that we had for Arena football, but let's take a look. Oh, we're just right. We're not going to do standings for the AFL, so let's move on to the IFL. Did you want to do that, or you want me to do that?
I'll do this one. Okay. All right, ladies and gentlemen, let's talk about the Indoor Football League. I know there's a lot of fan chatter out there that the IFL is now the end-all, be-all league. And don't get me wrong, they've been pretty stable the last couple of years.
They played all their games this week. Nobody had a bye, and everybody was in action.
And nobody's folded. So, Look, I don't dislike the IFL. It's just we have been big Arena football fans, and there are two totally different styles of game, by the way, which is fine. And I've enjoyed indoor football games I've gone to. Mm-hmm. I enjoy Arena football games. I just enjoy Arena more because there's just so much more that with the nets and everything. It's just such a different experience. That's why I kind of hold the Arena League as like the gold standard when they were on top of their game. But even I admit the IFL is the gold standard. I will keep saying that right now. They are the top of the pile in terms of indoor, and they played 8 games this week, so let's get into it. They had 2 Friday night. The Quad City Steamwheelers defeated the Sioux Falls Storm 56-49. The other thing about this league, you can find all their games on YouTube. It is not hard to find them. If you seek them, you can get there. So not to take another shot at the Arena League, but hey, at least the IFL's got that figured out. Also Friday night, the Vegas Nighthawks continued their winning streak by defeating the San Diego Strike Force in a very high-scoring affair, 68-64. How about that? The Frisco Fighters kicked off Saturday by defeating the Jacksonville Sharks 68-33. The Green Bay Blizzard took out the Tulsa Oilers 42-22. The Iowa Barnstormers defeated the Massachusetts Pirates 42-34. The San Antonio Gunslingers took out the Duke City Gladiators 56-53. Duke City now remains the only winless team in the IFL. The Bay Area Panthers took out the Northern Arizona Wranglers 39-36 in a very low scoring but close game. And the Arizona Rattlers squeaked one out against the Tucson Sugar Skulls 38-32. Now we're going to jump down and look at the IFL standings. In the East, at the top of the heap, the Frisco Fighters at 6-1, followed by both the Massachusetts Pirates and Green Bay Blizzard at 5-2, the Tulsa Oilers and Quad City Steamwheelers at 3-4, the Iowa Barnstormers at 2-5, and the Jacksonville Sharks and Sioux Falls Storm at 1-6. Very weird to see the Sioux Falls Storm in this state. They are usually
right up there at the top.
Yeah,
somewhere.
Usually like between them and the Arizona Rattlers, which we'll talk about in a second. You just didn't expect them to be where they're at. You'd think they'd be towards the top of the heap. But in the West, you have the Vegas Nighthawks, as we mentioned, 7-0, unbeaten, followed by the 6-1 Bay Area Panthers. Then you have three teams at 4-3, the Northern Arizona Wranglers, San Diego Strike Force, and those Arizona Rattlers we were just mentioning. At 3-4, the San Antonio Gunslingers. At 1-5, the Tucson Sugar Skulls, and as we also mentioned, the 0-6 Duke City Gladiators as your lone winless team.
Even Tucson, I mean, didn't they win the championship just a couple of years ago?
Northern Arizona did. I don't think Tucson did. Okay. Northern Arizona won.
That's right. Northern
2 years ago.
Yep.
Bay Area just won this past year. They're still looking pretty good.
Tucson.
So, and the Vegas Nighthawks, though, they've been a fairly new team. So seeing them now at the top of the heap is pretty interesting.
Yep.
Because they also, I think they still have the deal for the Vegas to host the championship game.
I believe so. Yes, they had a multi-year contract for Vegas to host it. All right, let's move on to the American Indoor Football. It was Week 9. They have 4 teams going on down there. They had one game on Saturday night. It was the Amarillo Venom over the Corpus Christi Tritons, 38-30, and that was the first win for Amarillo this year, and it was the first loss for Corpus Christi. So good for Amarillo coming in and getting the win. On by, it was the Columbus Lions and the Harrisburg Stampede. The AIF announced earlier this week that the Cedar Rapids River Kings, the 5th team in the league, is going to finish out the season against non-league opponents. Their owner was suspended last week, and for whatever reason, and one of the other guys was taking over the team, but I guess the league just doesn't want him around.
Oh.
So, and it makes it easier for scheduling with 4 teams instead of 5.
I guess so.
Cedar Rapids is still out there, but they're going to have a non-league schedule going through the rest of this 2024 season.
All right, we're going to take the tour around the world of football now to the National Arena League.
You want to do the standings on the AIF?
I thought you just did that.
Yeah, I did not.
Oh, whoops.
Standings for the AIF, the Columbus Lions sit at the top at 4-0, Corpus Christi at 4-1, Harrisburg Stampede 1-2, Amarillo Venom 1-4, and the Cedar Rapids River Kings at 0-2.
Okay, see, my bad. I started scrolling down to get prepared for my segment, and
Sorry.
That's also on me. We're great communicators here.
Yeah.
All right. Now we take the World of Football tour to the National Arena League. And Saturday saw the Omaha Beef defeat the Sioux City Bandits 33-6. The Omaha Beef improved to 5-0 on the season. On bye this week, the Carolina Cobras, Colorado Spartans, and Idaho Horsemen. And the NAL also announced that the Oklahoma Flying Aces are going to be dormant for the remainder of the season. We've been hearing chatter, and they've been having issues all year anyway with that team. So
yeah, they were the 6th team in the league. So now the NAL is playing with 5 teams.
Yeah. So your standings now in the NAL: the Omaha Beef at 5-0, the Carolina Cobras at 4-2, the Sioux City Bandits at 3-2, Colorado Spartans at 2-3, and the Idaho Horsemen at 1-4, and then obviously the dormant Flying Aces finish with 0-4 record.
All right, we're going to go south of the border now to Mexico. La Liga de Fútbol Americano Profesional. God, I love saying that.
You do it really well.
This is week 9 on their schedule with 9 teams, and it was actually the end of their regular season. They all played 8 games this year.
Yep.
So there was only one game to make everything, give everybody the 8th game. So the Raptors defeated the Bosses 24-17. Now, whenever I look at the standings, they have them listed as bosses.
Yeah, that's
But
the way our translator.
right, right.
Yeah.
It's a Spanish website, but you can click, translate into English. That's what it comes up with is bosses. But I was actually reading an article on there that was translated into English, and they called the bosses the chiefs. So, boss, chief. I
Yeah,
suppose there's
I
some
get it.
semantics there. So I don't know if we should be calling them the chiefs or not. Maybe next year we'll call them the chiefs instead
I
of
mean,
the
if there's an
bosses.
LFA expert out there, I mean, please correct us. We
Yeah,
are always down to be corrected,
yeah,
especially for some of these leagues that we want to get into and that we want to just do right by.
right,
So please correct us if we are wrong.
right. So that was the only game this week. Everybody else is on bye. In the final standings, uh, these first six all made the playoffs. The leaders at 8-0, the Mexicans at 5-3, the Raptors at 5-3, the Dinos and Melters at 4-4, and the bosses or the Chiefs at 3-5. And then three teams did not make the playoffs. The Black Roosters at 3-5, your favorite team. The Greyhounds at 3-5, and the Kings at 1-7. So here's your playoffs for this weekend in the LFA. The Raptors will be taking on the bosses and or Chiefs. The Diners will take on the Melters.
The Diners?
The Dinos. Dinos will take on the Melters. And the Mexicans and leaders have a bye this week. So they have 6 teams in the playoffs, 2 games this week, and then 2 teams with a bye. And that's it for Mexico.
All right. We're going to be jumping from the Y chromosome. I didn't really think that one through, but you know what I mean. We're going to jump over to the Women's Football Alliance. That's right. We are going to pretty much highlight only a few games. I mean, there's so many teams in this league.
Yeah, they have like 25 games every week.
Yeah, it's so nuts. But I mean, go to their website. They got everything there for you to find out.
Just pick a team at random, whether it's in your area or not, and just start following them.
I mean, like there's 3 different divisions. So like our teams are in the Division 2, I want to say. The Grand Rapids.
Yes, and Detroit.
What are they called?
Tidal
The Grand
Waves.
Rapids, Tidal Waves, and the Detroit Venom are
Prowlers.
no, the Venom.
Okay.
They are in Division 2. But you can find, I'm sure there's a local team that you could go support and check out.
Sure.
We've had somebody comment that said they just went to WFA game last week, and even though it was a blowout, they enjoyed themselves. So that's awesome. So here we go. Here's our 3 random scores for the past week. The Arizona Outcasts defeat the Sun City Stealth. What a fun name that is. But unfortunately, they got the doors blown off them 39-6 by the Outcast. Then you have the Connecticut Ambush shutting out the New Hampshire Rebellion 35-0. And then the Minnesota Vixen defeated the Dallas Elite Mustangs 64-30. I don't know what an Elite Mustang is,
I don't know either.
but that's a pretty interesting, unique name.
I'm trying to pick out 3 random games every week, and just teams that I hadn't mentioned so far. I always try to.
You got a nice checklist of.
No, I don't. I should, but I tell you, there are a lot of shutouts in this league. So some of these teams are really good, and they're playing a team that's not really good. Our Grand Rapids team up there, they are 0-3, and they're all by shutouts.
I was gonna say there's been a couple shutouts.
Yeah, they're all by shutouts right now. But still, these girls are trying, and they're having fun doing it. And go support them. Go support them. We've seen women's football before. It's fun to watch.
Yep.
All right, so now let's get on to the news portion of our show. We're going to start with the NFL.
I wouldn't really call it the news portion. We're just taking the tour now to the big league that we all are familiar with.
The league is not playing, that everybody follows.
Yeah.
The 2024 NFL schedule is supposed to be released tomorrow. Yep. That's Wednesday, May 15th.
Yep.
I think it's a prime time 8 o'clock
I think
show.
It's 8 o'clock. Yep. That's going to be simulcast on NFL Network and one of the ESPNs, I believe. Of course, the NFL can't do anything small.
Right.
It's going to be a big deal.
Well, they don't do anything without getting paid by somebody to.
You got to admit, I mean, if you got the product, people want as much NFL as they can get, and if you can make a spectacle out of a schedule release, have at it. That's why all these social media teams are going to be releasing unique schedule release videos.
I only want to watch them talk about Detroit, and after that, forget it.
Well, generally, it's even though when that show hits, you wait 5 minutes and you're going to get your full team schedule on your phone, which means we got to decide what games we're going to, because single game tickets are already on sale. One story you didn't also add into here that maybe I'll throw right now is the Lions sold out of season tickets for the second straight year.
Yeah.
How awesome is that? I'm sure other people are like, my team does that all the time. It's like, well, I'm sorry, that's new for us Lions fans.
That's
it's pretty
new for
sweet.
Detroit fans.
2 years in a row.
We're very excited about it.
It's pretty sweet. But anyway, continue about the schedule.
Let's see. Some highlights from week 1. Of course, we know about the Chiefs. No.
This is the brand new one that just came out.
Yeah, the Chiefs are going to host the Ravens on the Thursday night football opener. And then the same in week 1.
It's not really Thursday night football. It's like NBC's Sunday night football on Thursday.
It's Thursday night football.
It's not Thursday night football.
If it's on Thursday, it's Thursday night football.
It's different branding, Randy. You have to understand this.
I don't care.
But anyway, yeah, so it's a rematch of the AFC Championship game. We'll talk about another Chiefs game because they're going to get back-to-back playoff rematches to start their season.
Let's see. Another week 1 game. It's going to be the Packers versus the Eagles in Brazil. We've been talking about that one. We've known it for a while. That's a Friday night game.
Yep.
The Cowboys versus the Browns. Tom Brady's first broadcast debut on that Sunday
with Fox. Yep. So that'll be a big deal. I believe that's gonna be like one of the 4:00 games for them. Yep. So that'll be interesting to watch.
The Jets are going to be taking on the 49ers in the first Monday night game. So we're going to get to see Aaron Rodgers break his other leg.
Oh my! I saw somebody post a great meme of like his other Achilles has the opportunity to do the funniest thing ever. And I about laughed.
I wonder if you can go to the sports books and bet
on it.
How many plays will he be in this time? Is it more than 10 plays? Less than 10 plays? Whatever.
Oh boy, it'll be something. If it happens again, I just would be beside myself. Then you would know the Jets are cursed.
I'd be laughing so hard I'd be crying. Let's see. In week 2, it's going to be the Bills versus the Dolphins on the first
official
Thursday night
there
football
you go.
game on
Thank
Amazon
you for correcting
Prime.
Yourself.
Yep, and then that second week, the Chiefs are going to play the Bengals, and that's some of the teasers that they've been throwing out. They'll probably throw out a few more today.
I've been waiting to see some more kind of trickle through because usually there'd be more. Usually they announce at least some of the international games,
right?
Because we're waiting to find out who's playing in Germany and who's gonna, play some of those. I haven't seen them as of right now, so we shall see.
Yep. All right, but Jared Goff, a player near and dear to our hearts.
Jared Goff
has signed a 4-year, $212 million contract extension with the Lions. Good for them. Good for everybody in that case.
Good for him.
170 million of that is guaranteed.
I know, isn't that nuts?
So I saw this somewhere. He went from the number 1 overall pick in the draft to the number 1 the highest paid player on the Lions team, and he's second only to Joe Burrow right now. So I think he's happy with 170 million, in the bank, and he's happy to stay in Detroit. He wants to be in Detroit, and I think he'll take being number 2 as long as he can get that Super Bowl. I think he's got a good shot.
He deserves it. The Lions went and paid. We already talked about the other guys this offseason, but the Lions went and spent some money this offseason. Obviously, the 4-year, $212 million extension for Goff. They signed Amon-Ra to a 4-year, $120 million extension, and then obviously Penei Sewell, another 4-year contract, $112 million extension. So Lions are spending money.
They had the cap space this year. Everybody said they had a fair amount of cap space to spend on players.
And they can structure it in such a way that it's not going to hurt. They can still build around them and then keep these guys locked up on the team for a few years to come.
But I remember several years ago, Stafford, Calvin, and Ndamukong Suh made up most of the salary for all the players. I mean, they were just paid exorbitant amounts of money.
Yeah.
Those 3 players, and that's why the rest of the team stunk because they were getting people off the street.
I think they were just poorly. The cap was poorly managed. I think we have a better cap management with this organization. And now, especially you saw what the Rams did. The Rams loaded up to win that Super Bowl. They got Stafford.
Right.
They had Aaron Donald all paid for. They brought in a Von Miller and Jalen Ramsey. They brought in all these guys. They paid them all this money, but they were able to, do some cap gymnastics, and it didn't really hurt them. I mean, they had the one bad year last year after the Super Bowl. And now it seems like they're kind of back on the upswing. So there's a way to do it. There's a way to manage your cap if you're smart and keep the guys happy on your team. And obviously these guys all wanted to stay in Detroit.
Oh, yeah.
And everybody's been posting, the Stafford Goff trade keeps coming back up and around. Who won the trade? And it looks pretty even. You look at their stats. That graphic's been going around. Both quarterbacks have 24 wins. All their stats are pretty comparable. The only difference is Jared Goff got to a conference championship and lost, and Matthew Stafford won a Super Bowl. But even then, I'd say that's further than Detroit was before that. That was further than the Rams had been to a Super Bowl, but they got past their Super Bowl loss a few years prior to that. So might come down to be the greatest trade in sports history.
Yeah, you'll probably see documentaries about that
and
someday.
especially if the Lions end up winning a Super Bowl with Jared Goff, it will go down as the greatest trade.
Yep.
The most even trade
both teams
in team
won
history. Yeah, the most
on that trade.
Yeah, even trade of all time.
Yep.
Just who'd have thought it? Especially when that deal happened, we thought Goff was a throwaway guy, bridge quarterback. I've said it. You probably said
he
it.
He proved us wrong.
On this show, he proved us wrong. And you know what? Well deserved. And you're going to hear those Jared Goff chants for a long time.
Yep. Not only does Amazon Prime have Thursday Night Football, but now I just saw that they are creating a true crime documentary about that Kansas City Chiefs fan known as Chiefsaholic. Chiefsaholic, who robbed a bank.
Oh my God. You left out the best part of this story. Look, first of all, there has never been anything that has been created that is going to suit my tastes and my girlfriend's taste. She's a big murder, true crime junkie.
I'm not into that.
I know. I'm not a big fan of it either. I've watched a couple things. I get the appeal. I really do. But this seems to be the nice middle ground because supposedly the documentary will be titled Chiefsaholic, a wolf in Chiefs clothing.
Oh, I did not see that.
It will tell the story of Xavier Budabar, a.k.a. Chiefsaholic. Budabar himself is interviewed in the documentary.
Wow.
So sign me up. I'm going to make my girlfriend sit and watch it, and she'll probably just be floored by the craziness of this story.
He wore a Chiefs jersey, but he had like a wolf mask or a wolf.
He's got like a whole wolf outfit.
I've seen. I'm just trying to explain it for people who don't know who Chiefsaholic is.
Oh, yeah.
But yeah,
he ended up robbing banks.
Yeah.
To pay for his Chiefs game. I don't know what the money was for. I assumed it was him paying for his Chiefs tickets.
Or gambling, maybe.
Or gambling. I forget the whole story. I'm sure there's more that we didn't even know about that'll come out because of this documentary.
Well, that is one documentary I will watch.
Man, when I saw that, I was like, this is going to be great.
And this last story from the NFL I saw just a little while ago. Fox TV stations will offer a syndicated version of Good Morning Football beginning in February 2nd this year, the Monday before the first Thursday night game. So if you have never had NFL Network, never seen Good Morning Football before, now you can get it on your local Fox station because they're going to simulcast it from NFL Network.
That'll be pretty good exposure. But I think I saw a great video talking about the NFL Network firings and all that. Them letting a lot of people go. Yeah. YouTube channel I can't recommend highly enough is That's Good Sports. He did a video kind of breaking down why maybe NFL Network's doing this, and it kind of looks like, are they trying to compete with the Pat McAfee show or shows like that on ESPN? But there is the rumor now that ESPN's trying to buy or will buy into the NFL Network. So maybe they're just, thinning it down. And is this whole revamp of Good Morning Football to make it more Pat McAfee show like? Because some of the things he pointed out, which makes sense to me, McAfee, what he does, he simulcasts on ESPN and his YouTube channel, which none of the other sports shows really do. They're more like they take their show and then they put clips later. But it's like, why not get ahead of it and get your clips and all that ready to go? You have your stuff ready to go. And Good Morning Football is the same, but it's behind the eight ball. You know what I'm saying? Like they do their show and then some of the clips trickle out. But if you do your show and you stream it at the same time, and then you can get more stuff out quicker to people, I wonder if that'll be where they're trying to trend, is more quick access, get it on YouTube for people to find quicker that don't have these networks, and make them a little extra money doing it that way. The video explains it a lot better than I am, but I just thought a lot of his points were interesting. I was like, I didn't think about that, but it does seem like maybe these networks who are becoming stagnant with their typical shows that like only air at a certain time and they don't release their clips sometimes, and the traditional way of doing that is just kind of fallen to the wayside. Now it's the Pat McAfees of the world, shows like that are gonna get people's attention.
Well, one thing that I didn't see in the article, they said that Good Morning Football is going to be simulcast starting on September 2nd, which is the start of the NFL season.
Yep.
But that's a show that goes all year long. Yep. I mean, throughout the whole offseason and everything. Are they only going to show it? Are they only going to simulcast it during the NFL season and not simulcast it during the offseason? Or I've not heard that.
I'm not sure. I'm sure they'll play it by ear, because if it's that successful, then let's keep
Sure.
That's a programming slot for you already taken care of. You don't have, if you're Fox, we didn't have to do anything. We just have to,
flip a switch and bring in the feed from.
We don't have to pay anybody to sit there on a camera. We're just streaming that and we're good to go. Yep. So to me, cost effectiveness wise, it would make more sense for Fox to just keep it going. There's a time slot taken care of every day for a calendar year. Are you kidding me? Like, thank you very much. Now we can focus on other stuff.
Yeah. All right. Well, let's move on to some CFL news. Training camps are now open up in Canada, and the first preseason game is actually next Monday, May 20th, between the Winnipeg Blue Bombers and the Saskatchewan Roughriders.
Canadian football, thank you for coming back.
Another league we're going to have to cover, and more scores, more standings.
Oh, I love it,
Just as the one in Mexico is winding down, the CFL is winding up, and it's always something to talk about. That's why we call this the world of football, because there is stuff going on all year long.
Yes, there is.
Let's see. And the other story from the CFL is the Montreal Alouettes unveiled their Grey Cup rings from last season. Look pretty nice.
They do look pretty nice. I mean, shout out to our friend Tim Capper over at Arena Fan, and he's got his Montreal was it Flight Deck podcast.
Yep.
And he shared a picture of the ring, and here's a great picture of I believe it's one of the owners of the team or one of the executives in front of a big picture with the Grey Cup, and he's got the ring in the background. But I'm like, look at that thing. That is such a gaudy looking. That's a nice looking ring, though.
It's tame compared to some of the Super Bowl rings, but still, if you're a fan or a player on the Alouettes, you're gonna love that.
It's pretty cool. I mean, it looks like they got boxes with video in the box. I think that's been a new trend, especially like in the NFL. But just, it's such a nice look. It's a clean ring. It's not super busy.
Yeah, it's just got the logo and a bunch of diamonds.
I think there's some little intricacies to it. I was like trying to see the diagram I saw, but I can't find it right now. But I remember seeing like a diagram of what everything meant. But it's still pretty cool. Good for the Alouettes.
Yep.
Good for those fans.
That was a big surprise that they won that game last year.
That was a good game. That was a great game.
They beat Winnipeg.
They beat Winnipeg,
everybody thought Winnipeg was going to run over them because they, didn't have the greatest record.
We watched that together. That was a good game.
Yep.
But so kudos to our friends in Montreal, and maybe we should try to snag one because we got the replica ring that the Argonauts put out last year. Maybe you need to try to get a Montreal.
If they put out a Montreal, get a Grey Cup ring from all 9 teams over the next few years.
There you go.
We shall see. All right, I got a story from college football. Actually, a couple of them. The Arizona Bowl has gotten a new sponsor. So it's not going to be called just the Arizona Bowl anymore.
Well, that's disappointing. Who could possibly replace the Arizona Bowl? It's such a nice, clean name. I don't think there's any celebrity or person that you could possibly tell me right now that would make a better bowl game name.
Wrong again, football breath.
Prove me wrong.
You got a pencil? You going to write this down?
Okay, let me see.
I hope you got or a pen that's full of ink because the new name is, and I'm quoting here, the Snoop Dogg Arizona Bowl, presented by Gin and Juice by Dre and Snoop. That is the name of the bowl now, the official name.
I have been proven wrong. That might be the greatest bowl name in the history of bowl games.
Let me say that again. The Snoop Dogg Arizona Bowl, presented by Gin and Juice by Dre and Snoop.
It sounds like a rap lyric.
It just kind of rolls off.
He's going to work that into one of his songs. I'm down for that.
Hey, he's going to write their theme song.
He's going
at halftime.
He's gonna. He'll do the national anthem.
Dre get up there together. Yeah.
There we go. The instant classic right there. And it's in Tucson, Arizona, a town we've been to and we love. Heck yeah.
And it's going to be played on December 28th in Tucson. So
there you go. Maybe we need to go.
Maybe we do need to go.
Hey, Snoop, hit us up. We'll come cover that game.
Coach Snoop, yes.
Dad won't drink your gin, but I will.
The other story that you wanted to talk about.
Yeah, throw this out.
The cover of the College Football 2025 was released.
Yes, it was, which means we are just that much closer to this game becoming a reality. I am so excited for this game to finally come back. I mean, you never miss something until it's been gone. And I had played NCAA football for years, and I liked it. It was fine. I was more of a Madden guy, but when this game disappeared, I did find myself in the years after going, man, I wish I could play some college football on my Xbox or my PlayStation.
Well, didn't you have the old game for
years? That's old stuff. I mean, I wanted the new ones. I wanted more up to date. I wanted the better graphics with the college football teams.
It'd be like a retro game with retro uniforms that teams don't wear anymore.
Well, I wasn't about that at the time. But now that we're getting this game, I'm super excited. It should be a lot of fun. I hope they bring in the mascot mode where you could play as the team mascot as all the whole team, which is great. If you ever seen the footage of the Stanford Cardinals mascot, the tree, playing against the Syracuse Orangemen mascot, I think that's some good stuff. But I'm all about that. I'm just excited that this game's happening, and we'll have to figure out if we could do something special for that on the YouTube channel, because we don't do a game. We don't mess with games here. But Aaron and I have been secretly working on maybe doing a video on the arena football video games, and maybe playing those. So we're kind of trying to get all the equipment together to properly do that. So maybe a college game video would be next. I think personally, having a video of Randy trying to learn to play one of these football games would be a lot of fun.
Ain't gonna happen.
I think it would be great if
not a video.
If this video gets 100 likes, Randy will do the video.
No.
Too late. I already put it out there.
I'm not doing it. All right, let's move on to some birthdays today. For May 14th, tight end or former tight end Rob Gronkowski turns 35 years old today. Played his college football at Arizona. I never knew that he went to Arizona.
I knew that.
Selected in the second round of the 2010 NFL draft by the New England Patriots. Played 11 seasons in the NFL. He was with the Patriots from 2010 to 2018. Then he retired. Then he got brought out of retirement by Tom Brady to come help him with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. And he played 2 seasons for the Bucs in 2020 and 2021. He won 4 Super Bowls altogether, 3 with the Patriots and 1 with the Buccaneers, but all with Tom Brady.
Yeah, I mean, what a career for Gronk. He'll always be considered one of the best tight ends. He was definitely a threat when he was out there. Everybody always kind of called him a meathead, but he seems like a pretty funny dude, just a dude that's out there to have a good time. So
now he's a commercial pitch man for the most part.
And he's also
but he shows up on the Fox pregame show.
He does some Fox stuff here and there. And now with Tom Brady's with Fox, I'm sure they'll find a way to team them up.
Oh, no.
So
hadn't thought about that.
Yep.
The other birthday today, defensive lineman Tony Siragusa, born on this date in 1967. He passed away in 2020 at the young age of 55.
2022.
Oh, I'm sorry, 2022 at the age of 55. Played his college football at Pittsburgh. Played 12 NFL seasons. He was with the Indianapolis Colts from 1990 to 96 and the Baltimore Ravens from 1997 to 2001. Then he went on to become a sideline reporter. He was everywhere. It seemed like every week he was on the sideline of whatever big, game of the week or whatever. He was there on the sideline.
I'll always remember the game he did where I think it was the Lions at the Giants. He was doing the sideline reporting. It was Joey Harrington was the Lions quarterback. And I remember him doing the sideline reporting of that game. Because I can't remember if that was right after that Sports Illustrated thing came out about Joey Harrington. Like, I think Harrington, he had that rough rookie year, and then he seemed like maybe he was getting good, and he kind of had a hot couple of weeks, and I think that's when Siragusa or Goose, was sideline reporting of that Giants game. I can't remember if we even won or lost that game, to be honest with you, but I just remember him being the sideline reporter talking about Harrington during the game.
All right, that's it for birthdays. We do have some obituaries this week. This is where we take a moment and honor those who've made the world of football a better place. And we start with the obituary of Joe Collier, a coach in the NFL and the American Football League for 31 years, has passed away at the age of 91. Collier started out as an assistant coach at Western Illinois from 1957 to 1959. He was also an assistant coach with the AFL's Boston Patriots in 1960 and 61, and the AFL's Buffalo Bills from 1962 to 1965. He was also the head coach of the Buffalo Bills from 1966 to 1968. He then became the Denver Broncos defensive coordinator for 20 years from 1969 to 1988 and was the creator of the team's Orange Crush defense. Collier finished his coaching career with the New England Patriots in 1991 and 1992.
All right, our next obituary is that of Lyle Bauer, a guard and center in the Canadian Football League for 10 seasons, has passed away at the age of 65. Bauer played college football at Weber State. He signed with the Winnipeg Blue Bombers and played his entire career with the team from 1982 to 1991. He won 3 Grey Cup titles with the team in 1984, 1988, and 1990. He went on to become the Blue Bombers team president and CEO.
Next obituary is that of Jimmy Johnson. No, not the owner of the Cowboys, but a cornerback.
Former coach. He wasn't an owner.
Well, yes, coach. uh, the corner. This Jimmy Johnson was a cornerback in the NFL for 16 seasons. He has passed away at the age of 86. Johnson played college football at UCLA and was selected with the 6th overall pick in the 1961 NFL Draft by the San Francisco 49ers. He was also selected in the 4th round of the American Football League Draft by the San Diego Chargers. He signed with the 49ers and played his entire career with the team from 1961 to 1976. Johnson was inducted into the Pro Football Hall of Fame in 1994.
And our final obituary this week is that of Sid Williams, a quarterback and halfback in the Canadian Football League, has passed away at the age of 88. Williams played college football at Wisconsin. He played only one season in the CFL for the Montreal Alouettes in 1960. He went on to be a patent attorney in Kalamazoo, Michigan.
Right here in
our own backyard. Williams was inducted into the University of Wisconsin Athletic Hall of Fame in 2008.
Yep, he passed away just a few days ago here in Kalamazoo, where he was still living. And I did not know that until I read his obituary. All right, let's see. Upcoming events calendar. Friday, May 24th, the European League of Football season begins. June 6th, the CFL regular season takes off. June 25th is going to be our 350th episode.
Spectacular, whatever we want to call it. I'm sure we'll come up with a great name.
Let's see, June 30th, the Arena Football League regular season ends. At least that's
what they originally intended.
Today's news, so we could change that by next week. Let's see, August 1st, the Pro Football Hall of Fame game in Canton, Ohio. Chicago Bears versus the Houston Texans. 2 days later, August 3rd, the 2024 enshrinement ceremonies will take place at the Hall of Fame. August 24th, week 0 in college football. Get ready for that. Thursday, September 5th, the NFL regular season begins, and now we know that's going to be Kansas City and Baltimore. Yeah. And then the next day, it's the Eagles versus the Packers in Sao Paulo, Brazil. Yeah. And we'll have all the big highlights next week from the schedule release.
Oh yeah, I'm sure we'll hit up some of our favorite matchups. Yep. I mean, we can do that whole thing.
Yep.
My question is, I guess we've talked about it for weeks now, but it's weird to me that the enshrinement ceremonies are now after the game.
Yeah.
I've never seen them
Used
do
to be
that
that took place on like a Saturday morning. They'd have the parade and the enshrinement ceremony, and that was on the steps of the Hall of Fame, which is now it's gotten so big that they got to have it at the stadium next door. And so now the game is moved because they had to move it to prime time.
Well, I mean, it was on prime time on Sundays, but I think this is a smart move anyway because, one, you get the game out of the way. You can have all the inductees there. You kick off the weekend by having an actual game, even though it's preseason. And you get the field taken care of because after you've got set all that stuff up for all the people, I'm sure, I don't know how that would affect the field, if it damages the field at all for the guys coming out. I mean, it's a turf, I think.
Right, yeah.
So I don't know. I think it's interesting that they moved it first, and I wonder if that's a good thing because then, since those two teams will get that extra preseason game now, that'll just give them a little more time to prep and not have to just quickly turn around and do another preseason game.
Yeah.
So,
well, they bring all the enshrinees to the game. That got inducted a couple days earlier, and so they're always there, on hand at the game too. So whatever, it is what it is. Yep. It's all about money.
It's all about money.
All right. Anything else before we close this one out?
As of right now, no real breaking news other than that little blurb from ESPN about Nevada court ruling that John Gruden cannot sue the NFL over his 2021 termination, and the case is orders the case into NFL arbitration process. So I don't know.
Yeah, so let's go before an arbitrator now. He'll decide whether he gets anything or.
So we'll see. I'd say that's a win for Gruden. He's going to get his arbitration. So.
Okay.
Or sorry, it's a win for the NFL. Sorry, I misspoke.
Okay.
Anyway, that's it.
All right. That's all the time we've got for this week. If you learned something during this podcast about the incredible amount of diversity that exists in the world of football, then we've done our job. Visit our website at theworldoffootball.com for news, links, upcoming events, original articles, videos, and more. Our email address is info@theworldoffootball.com. theworldoffootball.com.
You can follow The World of Football on Facebook, X, and Instagram, where the address for all three of those is TWOF Kalamazoo. New episodes of this podcast are posted on Tuesdays and are available on SoundCloud, Apple Podcasts, TuneIn, Spotify, iHeartRadio, and Amazon Music. So you can simply ask your Alexa device to play the World of Football podcast to hear us on whatever Alexa devices you may have. You can also find the full audio version of this show over on our YouTube channel. Just enter the World of Football Kalamazoo or use the handle at the World of Football in the YouTube search bar. So please spread the word, subscribe, rate, review, give us a like, leave us a comment, let us know what you think, and please come be a part of the football conversation.
Did we keep this under an hour like I predicted?
If we hadn't had the 10-hour tornado talk at the start of the show, we would have been under an hour.
When you're doing your timestamps, put tornado talk.
Oh, yeah. I already got that written down.
Okay.
Tornado talk.
And remember, folks, some people may love football more than we do, but nobody, and I mean nobody, loves more football than the two of us sitting here in Kalamazoo. Until next time, when we'll try and do a better job. Yeah, right. I'm Randy Snow.
And I'm Adam Snow.
And you looking at the clouds?
I did look at the clouds. It's starting to get really cloudy. It's starting to make me nervous.
Dark out there.
I'm starting to get PTSD from last week.
We'll see you all next week, hopefully.